Good morning and welcome to the breakfast meeting. My name is Victoria Sabatane. Always a pleasure to be here with you. Now today we are taking a closer look at one of Africa's most transformative higher education initiatives, the Africa Centers of Excellence Project, widely known as ACE. For nearly a decade, ACE has strengthened universities, supported groundbreaking research, trained thousands of graduate scientists, and built professional capacity across the continent. The program officially closes this December, and we have an exceptional panel this morning to help us unpack its journey, its impact, and what its legacy means for Africa's future. Now, joining us this morning is Professor Emmanuel Kaunda, who's the Vice Chancellor of Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources in Malawi, a leading voice in the ACE movement from its very inception. We also have Dr. Lydia Nabyonga, who is coming from MAPRONANO. I'm going to get that correctly because they're going to teach me, of course, a PhD beneficiary whose research on sustainability fertilizers is gaining national recognition. And finally, Dr. Richard Edema, who's the Director of a Regional Center of Excellence for Crop Improvement at Makerere University, known simply as MaRCCI. I hope that's correct as well, but they will teach me. And a key leader in strengthening agricultural innovation across the continent. Welcome to the breakfast meeting. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Thank you, Victoria.
Absolutely.
We're glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Now let's get started with this very academic conversation. I had to prepare my mind to have a conversation at a very high level. But I'll start it off with you, Professor Emmanuel. For the viewers who have absolutely no idea what we're talking about when we say ACE, what is the Africa Centers of Excellence program, and what gap was it created to fill in the higher education sector?
So thank you very much for this nice welcome and greetings from Malawi, and I think it's very nice to be in Uganda here. Number one, Africa, the major challenges which Africa has must be dealt with through science, technology, innovations. If Africa has to be a global competitor, we must run very fast. I tell you why I'm saying that. If you look at even the number of skilled people in Africa compared to global North, for example, we're talking about in UK about 2% of the graduates perhaps they're getting onto PhDs, for example, doctorate degrees. I think in the States it's the same. But if you go to Africa, it is about 0.1%. And that you can see the major gap. And this is where our African governments realize that in the higher education sector, we must begin to invest into this. And with financing from the World Bank, the governments came together from a few countries, and actually about 20 countries, and within 50 universities to say, can we, get this financing to be able to have breakthrough innovations, but also build skills, which is a huge gap in Africa. So that's why the start of this program. Also to give an idea, African Union has also realized that, and they have even put a target that if Africa must grow its potentials, they must invest and have about 100,000 PhDs in the next decade. Sure. So looking at that picture, this is where the gap is. So ACE is a very novel program, like you have said. We're going to talk about it, but it is a result-based program that fosters that university leaders or innovators, researchers, they can only get grants or get the funds if they deliver. So that's result-based and in a number of areas. So this is one of maybe the first program which the higher education sector in Africa has happened. Number one, it's model, but number two, as a regional collective power. So each government and governments, they've worked together, they've obtained finances from World Bank, but you work as a liberal cooperation. And this is where our organization, International University for Central Africa, IUCA, became very handy. But then it was coordinating all these effort within our governments, but within our universities, like I've mentioned, 50 universities.
I mean, talk a bit about that in terms of the collaboration. Over 80 centers of excellence across 50 universities, as you've said, over 20 African countries altogether. Why is that regional collaboration so important for us?
So, number one, okay, it speaks very directly to our Africa agenda of regional integration. That's number one. But number two, it allows the exchange and benchmarking of universities, collaboration. So which means a university in my country, in Malawi, they'll not just do their own things in a corner, but they'll learn from another university. But it also allowed a lot of mobility of our students. So as students, like in my university, I've had students from about 20 countries. And some of them, the programs sought after by the regional governments. And this is what I think this program has wanted to do, creating the call centers of excellence. So a university should be able to be known that my university is going to produce this. Another country can be able to say, I want plant breeding. I go to Professor at Makerere. I want fish. I want to go to Malawi. So that's the whole idea. So it allowed us to work together and also to benefit, to leverage on already existing capacities within our universities. Very, very important.
Yes. I guess one would say it's the Africa that we want to see. I mean, just seated on this panel, we've got Uganda, Malawi, South Africa.
Exactly. This is what Africa we want to see.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Lydia, you experienced the ACE program from the student side of things, of course. What did MAPRONANO or MAPRONANO? You have to explain that to us. What did that offer you, especially when it comes to your PhD journey?
Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Now, it's MAPRONANO.
MAPRONANO.
It's an acronym of Materials, Product Development, and Nanotechnology.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a program under Africa Centers of Excellence, and it's supporting research, supporting tuition fees, and research that can translate into meaningful work into the community. So I happen to be a beneficiary of this program, and it has actually taken me far because I am so grateful for what I have produced at the moment, and I'm now looking forward to bigger funds to scale up to another level.
I mean, perhaps share with us exactly the benefits that you have received, especially with your PhD journey with the ACE program. Break it down for us. We know it's a lot. Even I know it's a lot, but I know our viewers would love to know.
Okay. Now, my journey with MAPRONANO started when I was trying to identify an idea for my PhD research. And that time, I had an idea in mind about coming up with a fertilizer product because I'm a person who loves to do basic research because I come from the College of Natural Sciences and the Department of Plant Sciences where we do a lot of basic research, but then we want to transform that research into products that can be taken to the market. So the idea started when I had a plant species that I wanted to work with, and that was azolla. So I was looking for funding to take this azolla to a level where it can be taken to the market, and I had not gotten a breakthrough. So there's a professor in my department who just tapped me and told me, you know what, there is this call for proposals. I didn't know anything about MAPRONANO. So I now had to find ways of how I can tune my work to suit the funders' requirements. And it had more of nanotechnology work. So I had to devise means of how does my work fit into nanotechnology so that I can probably tap into this funding. So I, of course, did some bit of reading and tried to figure out things here and there. I came up with a concept that I took to MAPRONANO, and it was accepted.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
It's quite a specific work, if I should say, not very common. It's not something that I hear very often.
Yeah, that's a new field, actually. It's an advancing field.
What stood out for you when you're comparing traditional postgraduate pathways, especially with ACE? What was the standout and to go that direction?
The nanotechnology way?
Yes.
Like I said earlier, first of all, food is a basic requirement. Food is a basic need for everyone, and you see, a hungry person is always hungry. So I wanted to contribute something to development of safe food, and that is the organic product that I was looking into. Now, to get into the direction of nanotechnology, through the reading that I made, I realized that if I can come up with a nanofertilizer product, it is actually, because I was using a plant species, a plant material that can be cultivated, and it's a high biomass plant with a lot of nutrients. And then another mineral, which was going to serve as my nano carrier. Okay? So the final product was going to be a slow release fertilizer that can boost food production, enhance soil productivity, minimize environmental pollution because it's in the form where nutrients are held in that mineral and only released when the plant needs them. So if the plant is not needy, because we know that plants don't feed all the time, there are times when there is maximum feeding and there's a time when the feeding is low. So if the feeding is not high, the nutrients are going to be held in. And if you're to compare with inorganic fertilizers on market that have caused a lot of damage on our soils, and of course, like now the situation of Uganda, we have a lot of counterfeit products.
Yes, we do.
So farmers are actually crying out because they spend a lot of money on these products and the yield is not as good. And again, the soils are degraded. I don't know if you've heard of us saying that if you don't put a fertilizer, you can't get yield. Yes. That is where we have reached.
Sure.
And I don't know, because we need to sustain our environment, we need to sustain food production to cater for the growing population and the future generation. So if we don't look at things that can solve these problems, then we are doomed.
See, so this is the mind I wanted to get, the beneficiary of the ACE program. It sounds exactly like that, but also very necessary for a country like ours here in Uganda, which brings me to you, Dr. Edema. From a sectoral standpoint of view, of course, and welcome to the breakfast meeting. We finally get to you.
Thank you.
What specific challenges do you think in agriculture and crop improvement made ACE so timely, especially for Uganda?
Yeah, thank you, Victoria, and good morning, viewers. So we're in a competitive world. And when we really started ACE, the issue that time was that we didn't have adequate human capital to support the innovations needed to run a modern agriculture as it is. So we're talking of, for example, 40 scientists per million inhabitants. In countries that are doing well and developmentally.
Did you say 40 scientists per million?
Yes, that was how bad it was.
Sure.
Countries that have developed are at 6,000, that's Korea. And you can take a look at Korea and see what its GDP looks like and the kind of array of innovations from electronics to everything else. China is doing 24,000 per million. Now you can see the GDP of China compared to that one of Uganda. So in a country that has put in a lot of resource and heart into agriculture as a pillar of development, right now the country is looking at increasing its GDP from 50 billion to 500 billion. And agriculture is a target. If we can run agriculture well and agro-industrialize, create industries with a competitive edge that we have, we can push this economy bigger. Why do we want this economy bigger? We need an economy that can support employment creation. There's a whole array of youth that are there. we need to feed an increasing population. We are 45 million now. In the next 10 years, we will be close to 80 million and more. And Africa is 1.2 billion or something. It's about to go higher.
Sure.
These are a lot of mouths to feed. And so if you don't put a lot of innovations in increasing productivity and supporting raw materials to support these industries, it is going to be a problem. And that's why Makerere University, with the support of government, set up this regional center for crop improvement to really build the adequate human capital to support agriculture in Uganda. And I can tell you, it's already done tremendous work. A lot of the scientists that are running NARO were out of this program. A lot of scientists in neighboring countries were trained in Makerere by us at the College of Agriculture. So I think those challenges are numerous, but the center, when it was created, started really addressing it.
Absolutely. I love how you sound very proud of the work that has been done. You do definitely sound like that. Let's talk then in terms of the impact from each one of your perspective, but I'll start off with you, Professor Kaunda. What would you say has been the biggest visible impact of ACE at the university? Is it on research? Has it been infrastructure? Has it been the graduate employability? What has been the biggest impact with the program at your university?
Yeah, so my university has benefited quite a lot, and in particular the research itself. The number of publications has just skyrocketed over time. And the technological breakthroughs. LUANAR, my university, is about 12 years old as a university, and we never really had even startups. But we're beginning to see startups now, and one startup I can see is going to across the region, where we have the colleagues who have come up with an insurance policy, an insurance for livestock, which and it's digitalized and also using artificial intelligence. So that is going to be a product that is not going to be in Malawi. It's going to be across the region, so that livestock farmers can begin to adequately insure their animals. And we've also seen some programs where we have even worked with private sector where we never used to do that. So we've just launched an industry. The banks have come in to support the youth for startups. The banks never could invest in the youth.
Sure.
And in their language, they say the university has de-risked their investment, their exposure. And I think that is very important. We're beginning to see that. And in a nutshell now, what I'm seeing is 2024, we, as LUANAR, we submitted data to the Times Sub-Saharan Africa, which does the ranking. And there were 129 universities that submitted that data, 2024. LUANAR was number 15 in Africa, in under 229. It was number 8 in SADC, and of course number 1 in Malawi. So we're bragging that we're the number 1 university, but it's mainly because of the center. More than that, I think we've churned out students. I mean, lots of students that come out. Like I said, now it has become a regional powerhouse for the region. I'll give an example. One day we got a call from the Gambian minister. They said, we want to develop our people in this country. We want to develop agriculture in country and we want to develop fisheries. Can you offer us program? We were there, Vice Chancellor, my colleagues in the center, and the minister in Gambia. Within a week, we had students from the Gambia who started studying there. Some of them are completing. What does that mean? This is what exactly centers of excellence were meant to achieve. That universities become regional hubs. Like I said, all of us now know if I want to have a good plant breeder and crop improvement colleague to do, I I was saying to Professor at Makerere University, and this is what I think as Africa, like I said earlier on, we are leveraging on our capacities as universities. So that has been a big thing. So LUANAR has been known. Having 20 countries in a university is not a small thing. Represented at a university is not a small thing. It means universities are not becoming ivory towers. Universities are actually supporting regional agenda in this. So the impact is great. And I know we're seeing, like I said, startups, students getting into industry, a proper internship. Students that go out there, they don't struggle now to get jobs. They can have their own, or they're job creators instead of job seekers. I think these are very impactful. We've had infrastructure, obviously, growth, but in general, the university has grown because of these centers of excellence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Quite impactful, you know, even just hearing especially about the Pan-African nature of it as well. It is quite exciting. Dr. Lydia, let's come back and go a little deeper and more academic, because I love listening to you talk a little bit about your innovation. You spoke about the Azolla vermiculite. Even the vocabulary. It's a composite fertilizer. Why this research why is it important rather in Uganda? I know you shared a little bit, touched on it, why it's important in Uganda. Let's go back into it and what problems will it solve in the future for farmers? And also the part I also want you to focus a little bit on, are you the only person that has all this information and is working on this within Uganda, or are you producing more?
Okay, thank you. Now, talk about the FVC. FVC is just an acronym I got for the name that I gave to the fertilizer. FVC stands for Azolla vermiculite composite fertilizer. Now, this product is a blend of Azolla, like I mentioned. Now, why Azolla? Like I mentioned earlier, this is the idea that I got from one of the supervisors as I was looking for a topic. And like I said, I love food, you know, just like everybody. Because we know that 3 times a day, you need a farmer. So I opted to come up with a product that can support farmers so that the entire world can benefit. Now, Azolla is an aquatic plant that can be domesticated, and it grows in just 2 weeks. You're able to get a harvest. So it has a high biomass, but also it has a high nutrient content.
Sure.
So currently, people are getting to know about it, and most of the people, actually, if not all, they are using it as a chicken feed because it has a lot of nitrogen. So they are using it to supplement the feeds for the chicken to replace the sources of nitrogen or sources of protein that they used to import. But for my work, I opted to use it as a fertilizer. Now, Azolla is the source of the nutrients, and it's actually the fertilizer. But then I incorporated vermiculite because I know that when you apply a fertilizer, depending on how much the plant uses, the rest can be washed out. So I opted to incorporate vermiculite, which is a mineral that has advantages of high water retention. And we know that in Uganda, over 90% of farmers depend on rain-fed agriculture. So I incorporated it to cater for the issues of short-term droughts. And then it also has an alkaline pH because we have soils that are acidic. So if we use this vermiculite in this form of a fertilizer, it can kind of balance the soil pH. But most importantly is that I use it as a carrier so that the nutrients are retained if the plant is not using them up. Because we know that when the plant is sucking nutrients, of course, they move with water. If there is no water, even if the nutrients are there in soil, the plant will be stressed. And water is a medium for all biochemical processes in living organisms. So these nutrients are taken up in water, up the plant, and then they're utilized. So vermiculite has a high water retention. So as this plant is sucking up, it's sucking the nutrients with the water. So vermiculite is can be something that can cater for short-term droughts. So farmers can go on and farm even those during the dry season. Yeah, because the plants, yes, it's dry, but they will not be so stressed like, you know, the situation when there is no water. So you're able to get some harvest.
Yes. Now, talk to me a bit about the reach of your work now. How far have we come?
How far? Thank you. Now, MAPRONANO supported this research from the beginning. They supported tuition. They paid for research costs. They also gave me a stipend because sometimes when you don't have a booster, you know, it becomes a bit hard. But I'm so grateful they supported all those costs. In addition to a trip, because I had to go and do some professional development courses in South Africa, that was also supported. So I'm so grateful for MAPRONANO for the support offered. Now, where they stopped is at the prototype. And that time, because this was new work, you asked me a question, are you the only one doing it?
Yes.
For now, I can say yes, because this is an innovation that just came up. I am a kind of person who challenges myself. So I wrote something of which I didn't know how to go about it. But I was like, I need to just follow the steps and, you know, figure out things here and there. So I reached a prototype, and this prototype was a product that I made using, you know, a coffee tray.
A what?
Coffee tray.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had my product. I made it locally. And I used the coffee tray to make the pellets.
Sure.
Yeah, but to get there, it was a tug of war. So I tested, I saw it was coming out. And then I tested in the field, and actually I was getting positive results. So along the way, the university advertised the Research Innovation Fund. And I said, this work fits exactly the themes that these people are funding. So much as I've not finished this PhD, I feel I need to take this to another level. So I applied for funding, and I was considered. So right now where I reached, because that funding had two phases. One, I had to train farmers in Namutumba, a small group, because the funding wasn't too much. But I trained farmers on how to construct the ponds to make their own fertilizer and apply it. And I have positive testimonies. Wow. There are testimonies. It's just a group of 5. There are 5 teams that we worked with. We had 8, but 5 were successful. Others, you know, withdrew and because of reasons here and there. But the 5 are using until now. It's now over a year, and they are no longer buying fertilizers. Sure. So the second phase was to fabricate a process, because earlier I told you the prototype was manual, you know, locally made. So I had to get some technicians, some engineers to help me design, first of all, the milling where I can get my nanoparticles. Secondly, I had to get a homogenizer to mix my 2 materials, and then a mixer where I could add the binder. All these I was doing locally, apart from maybe the milling. And then the pelletizing, I told you I used the coffee tray. So this time I had to ask them to also fabricate for me a pelletizer and then a dryer, such that I can produce ready products. Wow. And I'm grateful to RIF, Research Innovation Fund, that the mini factory, I called it a mini factory. The mini factory came out.
Do you think this is has a commercial potential?
Too much, too much. But you know, when you have a prototype, it goes through stages. Right now, I have what they call the minimum viable product. So it is pending pilot testing, because I need to test. We have different soil types, in the different agroecological zones. So I need to test this product in the different agroecological zones, and I'm still deficient of the support in that angle. I need to fine-tune this machine so that it can massively produce. It just needs a little touch. Okay. So that I'm able to now expand and at a later stage scale up and commercialize.
And commercialize it. Yeah. Oh, it does sound like there is quite the future then. You have been invested upon heavily. Dr. Edema, in terms of MaRCCI, it has trained over 290 plant breeders across Africa, not just here. How is that training translated into real agricultural impact on the continent, if you would say?
The investment that government put into MaRCCI is about 6 million over that period. We just did a little study recently, and we're still whether there are returns to investment. And for every dollar invested in training, the return is $38.
Sure.
And these are the students, these are the scientists right now manning new rice varieties, new crop varieties, resilient to changing weather, climate, drought tolerant, nutritious, high value, feeding raw materials at optimum numbers into emerging industries. Out of MaRCCI, we've developed some 4 varieties of cowpea right now being tested by the Ministry of Agriculture with possible release next year. And these have been student work that have built little by little, leading us into really high yielding. You compare them with what is existing in the field right now, it's almost 5 times more.
Sure.
Yield.
So you're saying the students and the graduates are already influencing
They're
the systems and policies?
Yes, we put them there. And they don't just work within the Makerere setup, but sometimes we send them out to work with scientists and mentors in NARO. So some of the results you see coming out of NARO are part of what graduate students have been doing. So when you have good, strong graduate programs, there are research outputs. Like you see, my colleague here,
yes.
what output can come out of it. Just leave this alone. Go back to Kira EV. Now we are proud of our electric bus.
Yeah.
But that was student work.
Sure.
Now it is down the road, along the road, the path of commercialization.
Yes.
So I think as we go as a university into research-led, research intensification with strong graduate programs, and that's why it's very important for government to continue investing into PhDs and MScs. Long ago, we had diverted all our money into the lower primary, which is good because the foundation is great. But if you are going to get these things into knowledge economy, innovations and things like that, you really have to put money into these graduate programs because that's where the new ideas are coming from. These young people have great ideas that just need to be nurtured. Yes. And the systems we are creating using these ACE programs is doing exactly that. So I think to me they're the future of Africa in terms of human capital development. They are thought process into the thesis and research. They're the future scientists that will be leading these countries in a very long time. And their work is going to be very impactful. I already see it working. I think that the 50 billion economy, the contribution from agriculture is going to come from some of these scientists.
Absolutely.
We've also invested in conservation. We've gathered a lot of traditional varieties that we think are of importance, and we're keeping them very well in Kabanyol for future posterity. Investing in traditional knowledge is important. That's exactly what one of the centers in Mbarara did. They invested into discovering herbal medicine, and they came up with Covidex. So when we were having problems with COVID, it was a university invention that did. So it's the same thing with agriculture.
I mean, what you're revealing right now is quite important. I don't even think a lot of Ugandans or people watching know that this is coming from universities and young students out of research.
Yes, yes.
If I may ask, what is the work that you are most proud of when you're looking at the past few years? What is the work that you're most proud of when you look at it and you said the ACE program in partnership, we are able to produce this?
I think it's building confidence in the next generation of scientists. That has been the best. I did my PhD out of Uganda. I studied in the US. And I came back here. The last 15 years I was back home. So the ACE program has been, to me, one of my biggest contributions. You know, seeing all these young Africans coming through our hands at the universities and going back. Rwanda's agriculture after the war was in disarray, and many of them came to us, were sent over. And now Rwanda is, I think, food sufficient.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's
Same
why-
thing with South Sudan and others. So just seeing the talent developed out of young men and young women on the continent. We used to go up there in a very expensive way, but we have now built platforms within the continent to really generate the kind of human capital. I think that is building Africa's confidence in itself, in herself, to power its own development. And that's going to be very important. And I like the fact that they work together. You know, it is regional, so you find different nationalities gathered in one place. It becomes cost-effective, economies of scale, because you can't set such high-end research institutions in universities, every university in Africa. Africa needs to get platforms somewhere where they can send it. Just like my colleague, Professor Kaunda said, you want fisheries, you go to him and he'll produce you one of the best. You want crop improvement to support increased productivity, new traits, new products, lines, you come to Makerere and it works. And you want herbal medicine, you go to Mbarara. And the same thing across Africa. Ethiopia, Zambia, all have these centers.
That's what I'm saying. You know, when you're speaking, you sound like a proud father who has really produced some amazing work. It is very clear that the impact is quite wide, and not just for individual countries, but as a continent altogether. And I believe that that will have a global impact in turn, that people will be coming to us, European countries, the Americas will be coming to Africa for those solutions, which is something that I think as Africans we can be very proud of. Let's look a bit into the future, sustainability and legacy. Professor Kaunda, as the ACE program is coming to an end this December, please explain to me, as in it's coming to an end altogether, there's no longer going to be an ACE program, or it's coming back next year? I just want to understand that part first, but beyond that, you'll then teach me and tell me what are the key lessons that stand out for you, and what do you think governments should prioritize?
Yeah, so, the program is coming to an end on 31st December, this phase.
Oh, this phase,
yeah,
okay,
this phase.
good.
I'm using it deliberately to say this phase because I do believe that the results have said for themselves. And for Africa, like Professor Edema has said, I think it's a time where it has shown that investing in higher education, if we want to transform our economies, is the way to go. Yeah. I think the figures which Professor has mentioned, that investing, putting $1 in PhD or masters, you get $38. That's a huge return on investment. And what I would want for our leaders to do is to begin, and I'm attending a workshop right now in Kampala here. And one of the things that came out very strongly is that education should never be perceived as an expense. Education should be perceived as an investment. And rightly so, this is what I want to thank our governments. Because this financing from World Bank is a loan, right? It's a loan. I'm not sure what are the intricacies which are in there, but it's our government, it's our money, but financed through World Bank. So I would want that sustainability, for sustainability of what the results have shown, is that I want to plead with our governments, if they are watching me, whether it is in Malawi, whether it is in Zambia, whether it is in Uganda, if it is in Tanzania, name it, Namibia, all these countries that have benefited from these centers, is that as we prioritize our investment, and normally either we must put a huge amount from our national budgets into higher education, into this training like we have done, which translate into research commercialization, or if we go back and negotiate with the bank, because our governments do have windows with these banks, whether it is World Bank, whether it is African Development Bank, whether it is Badea, they have a window which they can. I would want to emphasize that in this coming cycle, our government should again prioritize this model. I'm saying this model is because our governments can have bilateral. They can get funds and they will run programs. But a model which had regional connotation, and I've also watched for IUCA, I mean, now they've got experience for what they have done, so that this process continues, because it should not be looked like as a project. It should be a program that continues on. Maybe just phase just stops. But I'm sure that we should engage into serious discussions for continuation as well as sustainability. People are talking about, oh yeah, let's have sustainability plans, yes. But to me, we already, as governments, we already invest. We're already putting. So this higher education must be perceived as an investment that will bring in very quick returns. Mm-hmm. And we have seen it. I mean, if you go to Tanzania, universities in Tanzania, we've seen how the young people there, they've already industrialized their products out of this ACE. Like I said, during COVID, we MaRCCI invested here. So we must, as our governments, they must do that. That's number one. Number two, as lessons, is that Africa has the talent. And this is what Professor Edema said. Maybe the perception that our African professors cannot deliver, that should be out now. I think we have proven that if our professors are given right incentives, right environment, conducive environment, they'll not move out. They'll work here. Mm-hmm. They're proud of delivering. Absolutely. I mean, we've just seen from Professor Edema. He's proud that it's been 15 years. He could have gone out there, earned a lot of money, but
we need 10,000 of you.
Of course, of course. This is what we need. So we need to harness the potential that we have in our countries. Our young people, our professors, they can deliver. Mm-hmm. They have delivered. And I would want that our governments should really feel proud to invest more in our universities and continue with this space. The other area which as lesson, and I think we have seen it, is the issue of partnership with industry. Mm-hmm. So, doctor here is talking about her product, its prototype, and I think if it was somewhere else, industry would have already jumped on.
I'm telling you.
Because this is a game changer. Yeah. This is a prototype that is a billion in terms of.
I'm hearing it for the first time. I'm thinking, why is it not everywhere?
Exactly. So the linkage between industry and we must enhance it. Yeah. Because the money is there. I mean, if industry wants money, this is $1 billion industry, which the doctor is here. And it is rightly so. Most of our products that are coming out, these are $1 billion.
Yes.
So we must, as lessons, we must work very closely with
while you're talking about the lessons, what are the mistakes you think Africa should not repeat in this case?
I think, one, the mistake to me is individualistic approaches. That should not be repeated. As regional blocks, we must work together. Like I said, these loans are, they're bilateral. The $6 million was Ugandan money, mm-hmm. but which was supporting a Malawian student. By the way, Malawians were trained. Yeah. I know of my students were trained under a professor here. And that is, so $6 million Ugandan invested, they were able to train, and then professors, we had exchange visits, etc., we're benefiting each other. So that when we talk about regional integration in the AU, it must be.
We must see it.
Yeah, we must see it. And this, we've seen it. This is a case of integration in higher education. We must do that. Again, we have had a bit of challenges in sometimes students' migration. So you want to have a student from maybe one country, and because of the visa issues and so forth, so
we still have work to do there.
We have to work to do. So I would want that The context of regional integration should be looked at also into higher education, that the mobility of student exchange should be easy. I should be able to get a student from Sudan, a student from DRC, a student from anywhere, easily. So again, but this is our, our political machinery must work on that. And this is my plea that whatever we do does affect higher education, but does affect development.
Absolutely.
So we must not go individual, not go lonely. Let's go as regional blocks.
I mean, if we started talking about that particular topic, we probably stay here another hour. But thank you for that submission. Dr. Lydia, let's come back to you and let's look ahead a bit into the future. What kind of support do you think researchers like yourself, maybe those that will come after you, what kind of support do you think they need beyond perhaps what you've received?
Now, I can give myself as a case because I still need more support.
Yes.
I am, like I said, I want my product to reach the shelf.
Is it the funding? Is it the labs? Is it, what is it? Is it the mentorship?
Now,
what's the needed investment?
Of course, we need mentorship. We need funding because, like I told you, the prototype I have is just a minimum viable product that needs pilot testing in different agroecological zones, and that is money. Okay, I need to modify the machine so that it can produce a ton of this product in a day. And the beauty is that the materials that I'm using are locally available. So I'm looking at import substitution using the locally available materials. We have vermiculite, we have a whole mine in Namakala, and for your information, a lot of that vermiculite is exported, and yet it can be put to use. This is a local material. We have the mini factory has been fabricated locally, so we are trying to look at import substitution. So we need funding. We also need support in terms of further education, and we also need to do some what is it called? Benchmarking. Okay, yes. So that we can really come up to standard.
Now, looking ahead again, if I may ask, what must we prioritize now that would make a huge difference?
Now, I think for the prototypes that we have, we need, MAPRONANO has been supporting PhDs, but I am requesting that if another opportunity comes, they can add a postdoc so that you get into further research and you come up with a product that is really concrete and ready for the market. So we also need postdoc training.
Absolutely. Well, the future does look bright. Let's hope this is possible.
It is.
Let's really hope it is possible. Dr. Edema, maybe you can touch a little bit about, I love what you said, that the investment is worthwhile, but maybe you could supplement on that as well. And what does the future actually look like with the program from your side?
I think from my side, you should not stop good things. These are not short-term investments. Yes. These are long-term investments. It took South America, Brazil especially, 70 years of investment to be where they are. This is proof of concept.
And we've only been here a decade?
Just a decade doing this. I think the support should continue. We should continue churning out this human capital that we require as it is. The country, we were down at 40 per million. I don't know if we've managed to take it to 60 or something. We still need to increase this a lot. The other thing is that I think as we go into, because there's a lot of innovations that are coming in, and we need to reduce the interface between industry and the universities really a lot. Sometimes it's good to start at the beginning, really together as partners. We will be great partners with the industry. I think it will be a win-win if the investments are put into there. For example, we're already thinking of pushing our sorghum varieties along brewery. You know that Coca-Cola now puts Bushera and bottles it as part of the
Oh,
drinks.
yes, of course.
Yes,
Yes.
they do that. But out of sorghum, you can make beer, you can make whiskey, you can even extract starch, sugar, things that we never thought. We thought it was all about color. It isn't. There's a lot more value we can get from an indigenous crop than we think. And I think if we partner with the industry at the beginning, it works. The university has set up an innovation lab there as part of the efforts of trying to reduce this interface. I think, to me, I see the future really looking great, because I think these kind of investments make these universities more confident that they can really do it, you know, and those are the kind of partnerships. The funds are there. This is a good thing. It's worthwhile for governments of Africa to put in their money here. That way, we'll reduce our big issues. We have a bulging youth population of about 70%. These are 20, 30 and below year-old people, and we need to figure out how we can create employments, and this is the way.
And
These
this
are
is very possible.
This is very possible.
Yes.
And nobody is coming to help. We've got to do it ourselves.
I was actually about to say that. What excites me is that African solutions for Africa,
Yes.
coming from young Africans all together, is quite important. I'm looking forward to the time when we're speaking about Africa and our value, that we're not just talking about potential, we're speaking about actual tangible results. Let me get your final thoughts from each one of you. Professor, I can start with you. Any final thoughts that you'd like to bring across?
Okay, I think number one, I would want to sincerely thank our governments. I think the governments that invested in this S2 program trusted us. And in my own, I just want to thank my Malawi government for what we've had for Malawi. We've had the first center, we call it parent program, which started in 2016, somewhere there, finished in 2022, but we also had additional financing, which was only specifically for Malawi, which was another 30 million US dollars. The first one was about 12 million. Which I think is a good way showing the will of our governments to support higher education. This was never there before. And we can see the results which are rolling out. And I would want to see that all these governments should, like I already mentioned, take it forward. Like the professor has mentioned here, that we need it's not a short term, it's not a start, stop issue. We need to continue on and to invest. I mentioned the numbers. Africa wants, and rightly so.
Yes.
Africa Union has said we need 100,000 PhDs. In this case, we've only scratched the surface. Maybe in total of PhDs, maybe about 1,000, 2,000. That's the peanuts. So we are a long way. We need to move forward. As a Vice Chancellor, I'm really proud that, like I mentioned, our staff, our professors, representing all the Vice Chancellors, they're delivering. What can make a Vice Chancellor smile to see your staff, your professors delivering products, delivering high-quality graduates, linking up with industry, exchanging with, among our universities? It makes a Vice Chancellor so happy. So I'm very, very happy about that, and very proud. Also to thank World Bank for the financing, to thank the coordinating, institution, Inter-University Council for Higher Education. They have worked very hard. We have had 20 technical meetings, review meetings, every time exchanging. And this is where all our professors were coming together, sharing notes. We cannot underrate the power of those. But that's why we need to win. We're not working. So I would want to thank you, and also thank you, Victoria, for the good questions that you have given us. And I think we are very happy that you could give us this opportunity to come here and also talk about this issue, which is so dear to our hearts. And bravo, Africa, for this. Thank you very much.
Bravo, Africa. Very well said. Dr. Lydia, any final thoughts for yourself that you'd like to bring across?
Yeah, first of all, I want to appreciate the moderator.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the viewers for watching. And this advice goes to the young people out there, because we know that there are brilliant minds there. Please don't sit on those ideas. Their opportunities are waiting. But like the saying, no matter what your ability is, it is only effort that can ignite that ability and turns it into accomplishment. So please make an effort, get out from your comfort zones, and look for these opportunities. You'll see a change in your life. Then secondly, this is my appeal, a humble appeal to all those who can support research, because we know that the industry out there, there is a gap, like Professor Edema mentioned and Professor Kaunda. There is a gap, and you need us, we need you. So kindly come out and support research so that we can bridge the gap. And we know that it is research that develops a country. When you look at those European countries, look at China, they are funding a lot of research. So we pray that the same comes to Uganda, so that we are able to create jobs for people and change our country.
Absolutely well said. Dr. Richard Edema.
Really very briefly, I think the ACE model has proved that investments in higher education, in universities, in graduate training has big returns for Africa, and I think we really need to keep investing in there. I want to thank our government. These funds came through the Ministry of Education and Sport to Makerere University, and I think it was really forward-looking for the government to invest in these universities. I don't think there's been this kind of funding invested in universities in a long time. So to me, this will be a game changer. And the partnership between universities and government really has a lot to do with how the continent and the country.
Absolutely. And we need more.
Yeah, we need
Absolutely
more.
Need more.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning on the breakfast meeting. It has been an absolute educational, if I should say. I felt like I was in a lecture for a little bit here. But overall, really a good conversation. And thank you for joining me this very morning. Again, it's Professor Kaunda, Dr. Lydia, as well as Dr. Edema. They've really unpacked the journey of ACE, the achievements and the future of Africa's Center of Excellence. And we hope that today's conversation has given you a deeper understanding of the value of investing in African science, African innovation, and African talent education all together. But for me, Victoria Sabatane, it's been a joy and a pleasure. May the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Goodbye. God bless.